There have been a lot of revelations over the last 25 years since the 9/11 attack of all sorts of secretive programs that were implemented in the dark that many people, I think correctly, view as un-American in the sense that they run afoul and constitute a direct assault on the rights and protections and guarantees that we all think define what it means to be an American. And a lot of that happened. In fact, much of it, one could say most of it happened because of the fears and emotions that were generated quite predictably by the 9/11 attack in 2001, and also the anthrax attack, which followed along just about a month later, 6 weeks later, which we've done an entire show on before because of its importance in escalating the fear level in the United States in the wake of 9/11, even though it's extremely mysterious, the whole thing, how it happened, how it was resolved. But the point is that the fear levels increased, the anger increased, the sadness over the victims increased, and into that breach, into that highly emotional state, stepped both the government and their partners in the media, which essentially included all major media outlets at the time, to tell people they essentially have to give up their rights if they want to be safe from future terrorist attacks. And in the wake of that came the Patriot Act, that still every bit as much is in existence as it was back then, even though it was promised to be very temporary. Also came things like the warrantless eavesdropping program, where the government decided to have the right to spy on Americans without the warrants required by law. And then ultimately the full-scale mass surveillance system that we know the NSA implemented under both President Bush and President Obama, thanks to the reporting enabled by the documents furnished by Edward Snowden. And I had thought one of the lessons of all of that would be that we have to be very careful not to allow fear-mongering and exploitation of our emotions to get us to submit to or acquiesce to or even cheer for what would otherwise be creepy and authoritarian developments because the government is playing in our fears. That's always how authoritarianism arises. The government puts you in fear of something, some internal threat, some external threat, and then tells you you'll be unsafe unless you give to the government much more power than you ever thought it ought otherwise have. And if you're in a state of fear, which is a very important human instinct, it's a very important part of our survival, but if your fear is manipulated and exaggerated by external forces through propaganda and the like, then you're going to agree to submit to a whole variety of things out of fear that maybe a year later or 2 years later, when it's too late, you will come to realize was something you never should have allowed to happen. That is really the story of post 9/11 America. And now we see it happening with events that are far less in significance and magnitude than 9/11, but still very much create a sort of vortex of emotion and fear that people inside the government, people adjacent to the government, people in the private sector for surveillance technology are very adept and very quick to exploit in order to get the population to accept even greater forms of surveillance and related types of authoritarianism. One excellent example, which is why we wanted to cover it, very illustrative, but also on its own very significant example of how this works is what happened on Fox News last night, where on the program hosted by the Fox News host Trace Gallagher, someone named Aaron Cohen, who is a former Israeli military operative, he went on to Fox News. He's a regular on Fox News, and this is what he told the Fox News audience, and it seemed to get a very positive reception on Fox, not just last night, but other times as well, that he and various colleagues of his have developed a new AI-driven system of even more invasive and even more ubiquitous mass surveillance, which he claims will avert events like this in the future by constantly reporting to the government anyone that they decide is being in some way dangerous or threatening. And that might sound good in principle if it's only confined to people saying, hey, I'm getting guns and I'm going to go shoot up a school. But as we know, we were told that all these programs like the Patriot Act were going to be used solely for people plotting terrorist attacks, and overwhelmingly it's been used for all sorts of things unrelated to terrorism. These are the kinds of pretexts used to impose such kind of programs, but almost never the actual motive or how they're used. So let's listen to Aaron Cohen talking to Trace Gallagher on Fox News last night about this Minneapolis shooter.
Correct. I am now about to launch Gideon, America's first ever AI threat detection platform.
I know you see on the screen he's identified as an Israeli special ops veteran. So let's listen to this.
I am now about to launch Gideon, America's first ever AI threat detection platform built specifically for law enforcement. It scrapes the internet 24/7 using an Israeli-grade ontology to pull specific threat language and then routes it to local law enforcement. It's a 24/7.
By the way, he said that this is an AI program that's constantly sweeping and scraping the internet and reporting to the government what it finds. And he said it's Israeli-grade ontology. If anyone can tell me what that means, I'd be very appreciative. I studied philosophy. I understand the word ontology. I don't understand it. It's basically an investigation into the nature of being. I don't understand what it means to describe a AI mass surveillance system as being of Israeli-grade ontology. It doesn't sound good at all. I'm not sure what the meaning is or even has a meaning, but if any of you are enlightened as to what that could possibly indicate, as I said, I'm sure it's quite sinister, please let us know.
24/7 using an Israeli-grade ontology to pull specific threat language and then routes it to local law enforcement. It's a 24/7 detective. It never sleeps, and it's going to get us in front of these attacks.
Would it have picked up on this, do you think?
100%. I wish my program would already be up.
All right, so let me just interject here. And so this person just described an extremely creepy, alarming, invasive, ubiquitous form of mass surveillance driven by artificial intelligence. Whether he's exaggerating or hyping up its capabilities because he has a financial interest in the company, that is how he's pitching it. And he's saying it's ready for release next week. And obviously, if you're a journalist and you hear someone saying this, your first question ought to be like, wait a minute. Who decides what is threatening enough to report to the government? Who gets reported to the government? What does it mean that you're an Israeli-trained career special ops person and this is of Israeli-grade ontology? Is it related to Israel? Does Israel have access to it, to control of it? Are they the ones who define what's dangerous? What kind? How will threats be determined? What's the role of AI? Like all sorts of alarming things. And instead, it's almost like an infomercial. Trace Gallagher interjects and doesn't ask any of the questions about the obvious dangers in this announcement, but instead says, would this have averted this Minneapolis shooting? Like, what do you think the guy's going to say? No, it wouldn't have stopped it. He's there to exploit this shooting in order to say, hey, we have this program that's launching next week that will solve all these things because it'll be 24/7 scraping of the internet and then reporting whatever we think should be reported to the U.S. government and local law enforcement.
Front of these attacks.
Would it have picked up on this, do you think?
100%. I wish my program would already be up. We're not launching until next week. I've got a dozen agencies on board, Trace. I just unloaded a major Northeast agency with over 2,700 sworn. This is America's early warning system.
All right, so I hope that's comforting. This is an Israeli-trained career special ops veteran, intelligence veteran. And he is claiming on Fox News that already he has dozens of American agencies who have signed on to buying and implementing this Israeli-grade ontology, AI-driven, 24/7 scraping of the internet at all times, mass surveillance system that will report whatever content it decides needs to be reported to the U.S. government. I know that's very comforting to me. I've always said what we need in this society are Israelis who come from special operations and intelligence agencies in Israel developing AI-driven 24/7 ubiquitous mass surveillance technology that feeds to the government anyone or any person or group who's saying something that this Israeli AI-driven surveillance machine decides ought to be reported to the government. So I'm personally very relieved, but I do think it's important to Note that there are some potential downsides in the fact that he's on Fox News and not just permitted, but kind of induced, like provoked into claiming that this system is, you don't have to worry about it. In fact, it's you should be very comforted by it because it's coming and it will prevent not just things like this, but all bad and dangerous things. It'll predict it in advance by finding it and alerting the government. Who is this Aaron Cohen? As I said, he's a very frequent guest on Fox News. This is how he identifies himself: operations veteran and counterterrorism. Israeli special operations veteran and counterterrorism expert. And then here's the text of his self-constructed biography. Quote, Aaron Cohen is Israeli trained career special operations and intelligence veteran who has served in the counterterrorism space for over 2 decades. Cohen began his counterterrorism service in Israel's Mista Aravim, or Arabist unit, which is the name given to Israel's elite counterterrorism units that operate undercover. This sounds, I mean, does it get more trustworthy than this? Someone who's operating in elite counterterrorism units of the Israeli government in the Arabist desk. I mean, is there anybody you would trust more to operate full-scale, 24/7, ubiquitous mass surveillance and reporting to the government than this person? Quote, these units where he worked are specifically trained to assimilate among the local Arab population and are tasked with performing high-risk terrorist arrests, intelligence gathering, and targeted assassination, and to use disguise and surprise as their main weapon. Please, I know he's in the private sector. I know he has this company that's sponsoring this technology, and he stands to make a huge amount of money from getting government agencies to buy and implement it, which is why he's on Fox News talking to the Trump administration, probably to Trump himself. But that's not, the billions that he might make from this, that's not his goal. His goal is to keep Americans safe. He's an Israeli special veterans operative. So I hope the Trump administration keeps him as one of the key personnel in this private company, and also make him the head of the NSA. Just combine the U.S.'s own mass surveillance system is run by the NSA and this new AI-driven Israeli-grade ontology program that is run by whatever Israeli operative veterans. What could be better than that? Now, apparently he has his own YouTube show. He doesn't just go on Fox. And he called it the Aaron Cohen Show. And I mean, that's what kind of creativity emerges when you work for, 2 decades in the highest levels of counterterrorism inside Israeli intelligence. It's called the Aaron Cohen Show. And this was him promoting just a couple months ago this program that he calls Gideon, this system that stops the next attack before it starts.
I want to take a minute and talk to you about something serious that I've been working on behind the scenes. I'm building something called Gideon, or in Hebrew we call it Gidon. And this is the first real-time AI-powered threat detection system for law enforcement and schools. It's a system that scans the open web, social media, Reddit, Discord, gaming chats, and flags real behavioral signals before someone picks up a rifle and walks into a school. We're talking grievance buildup, martyrdom language, tactical planning. These are the same patterns.
All right, so here's part of what it does. The always on, never turns off, always on surveillance AI for digital threat behavior. It crawls public school media, forums, the deep dark web, and gaming chats. It flags radicalization. Gee, I wonder what this individual and the people behind him would regard as radicalization. Do you think they would regard it as radicalization that needs to be reported to the government if someone says, yeah, I want to commit genocide in Gaza and drive all the Palestinians out, either murder them, starve them to death, or force them out? Would that be radical? Or might radicalization be, I think the U.S. should stop funding the Israeli military and let them pay for their own wars? I don't know. Who knows? It's a big mystery. Flag radicalization, martyrdom language, grooming, and tactical signals. Oh, I wonder who this might be targeting. It also scores threats based on behavioral signatures, and then it alerts schools, sheriffs, SROs, and fusion centers. All right, let's see what else this does.
That I've been seeing for years before every major attack, now flagged before it happens. And I've already got law enforcement agencies on board ready to pilot it. But to get this fully live and to bring it to the engineers and finish the platform, I need your help. I'm raising funds directly from my audience, from Cohen's Commandos, the people who actually care, to bring Gideon to life. And if you've ever asked yourself, why didn't someone catch this before it happened? This is the answer. Hit the link down below in the description and donate what you can. And
all right, so I don't want to exaggerate this guy's importance because he has a gigantic grifter vibe to him. I mean, he's begging for donate. Does he have investors? I don't know, but he's begging for money to be sent by viewers of the widely popular, what is it? The Aaron Cohen show on YouTube. So I'm not trying to exaggerate his importance, but what I am saying is that Fox News has him on and had him on last night, and specifically encouraged its audience to believe that whether it comes from him or not, we need more AI-driven mass surveillance of Israeli great ontology. This is what Fox News' role is, but a lot of other media outlets as well. It's what the government does also. It's how we get greater authoritarianism, a loss of rights, through fear-mongering every time an incident like this happens. I mean, that's just basic. And the fact that he was on Fox News last night and made the claim that, oh, yes, U.S. government agencies, many of them, local, state, and federal, have already signed on to this program. We're releasing it next week. Is at least a claim that deserves journalistic scrutiny, and we'll do what we can to verify that. But I think the most important part of this is just how Fox News, how journalists in general, immediately fall into this role of encouraging everybody to submit to and even beg for greater amounts of authoritarianism, surveillance, police power every time one of these events happens. You're going to like this one. Brickhouse Nutrition's Labor Day sale just went live for a few days only. You can save 25% on everything with code Labor Day 25. Start fall off strong, reboot your health, and save big. Let me tell you what I'll be stocking up on. Field of Greens, which has been a sponsor of our show from the beginning, and it's also my daily go-to. It's a superfruit and vegetable drink that promises that your doctor will notice your improved health or your money back. Also on sale is Lean, Brickhouse's Nutrition's Best Weight Loss Formula, created by doctors to help you reach your weight loss goals without needles or medications or prescriptions. It's a great way to improve your diet organically and get the nutrients you need every day. Plus favorites like Radiance, their Super Collagen Booster, and even the new Brickhouse Whey Protein. It's all on sale, 25% off, but only for a few days, so jump on this sale. Kick off fall feeling stronger, more healthier, and more confident than ever. Head over to brickhousenutrition.com. Use the code LaborDay25 for 25% off. That's brickhousenutrition.com, code LaborDay25. Thanks for watching this clip from System Update, our live show that airs every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Rumble. You can catch the full nightly shows live or view the backlog of episodes for free on our Rumble page. You can also find full episodes the morning after they air across all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Apple. All the information you need is linked below. We hope to see you there.